Barbara, welcome. I am so I'm going to say a little bit about myself because they don't know me. So I'm a 5th degree black belt, and this is my school, and I'm a 6-time women's knockdown karate champion. And I tell you that because I actually like to fight. And mostly when people come to a self-defense workshop, what they expect to learn is how to protect themselves in that kind of situation. When you know that someone means you harm, that is, they have their hands on you or they're threatening you. And this workshop is actually about distinguishing the conversation that leads up to an attack. So I want to say a little bit about what we're going to watch. So you may not be able to relate to it because I don't know, are you doing your own shopping? Are you living on your own? You're not, right? So, and then maybe you don't either, right? Like, or we're going to watch a video of somebody and maybe you can't relate to the circumstances. Ladies, like, I don't know about you, but I'm not like a single woman living alone, so I don't relate to the circumstances. But I'm going to invite everybody to listen from your life to the conversation and to what we're distinguishing here. So you're going to kind of have to put yourself in your own life and imagine how this might show up in your life. Make sense? So I'm a Lavon certified movement analyst. Does anybody know what that is? So it's an expertise. Huh?
Sounds cool.
It sounds good. It's smart. So it's the language of movement. It's an expertise in the language of movement. And also for 5 years, I was a volunteer for the St. Vincent's Rape Crisis Program when St. Vincent's was in Greenwich Village. And I volunteered as a rape crisis advocate. And what an advocate does is when a survivor comes into the ER, you're called in and you actually advocate for them. So you talk to the doctors and nurses, maybe family members of the SVU, and sometimes you just be with them because they just don't want to be alone. And it's a pretty extraordinary assisting agreement to be with somebody, you know, at a time in their life when something pretty fundamental has been taken away from them. So I did that for 5 years, and I learned a couple of things. I learned, first of all, that men get sexually assaulted, which like blew me away, because I really did think this was a woman's problem. And but of course, sexual assault is about force, domination, power, not at all about sex. So I learned that. That was surprising. And then I also learned that almost invariably, like 9 times out of 10, maybe even more, there's some form of relatedness that happens before an attack. That survivors know their attackers. They know them. There's some interaction that happens where the attacker actually kind of gets into your space, even if it's only for a couple of minutes. Then I read a book called The Gift of Fear, Survival Signals That Protect Us from Violence, written by a man named Gavin de Becker, who's a violence predictor. He's an expert. He protects people at the presidential level. He's really good at predicting when people are going to become violent. And he wrote this book that actually has distinctions in conversation that are typical in that conversation that leads up to an attack. So I put it all together, my martial arts experience, my experience as a movement analyst, and then the distinctions of the conversation. And we have this workshop. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video, and we're going to talk about what we see and what we hear. And then there's a movement portion, and then at the very end I will teach you some kind of traditional self-defense, release and run stuff, because it's fun. It's just fun to do that stuff. Now, on a personal note, my sister, when she was 15 years old, I grew up in Canada, north of Toronto, and north of Toronto, what you do when you're 15, 14, 13 years old is you go hang out at the hockey rink. So you don't go to the mall. friend, and they met a couple of guys. They were a couple of years older than them, and I could see my sister, you know, probably having a couple of beers. I could see her doing that, and maybe even there was some pot involved. I could see that happening as well. And that night, she accepted a ride home from these two guys. And that night, my sister was sexually assaulted quite brutally. And she's fine now. She's, you know, a year younger than me. She's got a great life. She's got children. She's extraordinary, and she's had to live her whole life in the shadow of that. And I really am that if she had taken this workshop, she would have had a shot, a really good shot at seeing that coming. So I really don't take this lightly. The statistics are like 1 in 4 reported for women. 1 in 4. I mean, if you just look around the room, chances are somebody's already had to deal with something. And so in that case, if you are someone who has had an experience already, I'm inviting you to be in this conversation not for like what you should have done, you did something wrong, but rather, because whatever you did was perfect because you're here. Anybody who's in your situation would have done exactly the same thing. And but I am inviting you to just be in the conversation like for what you could do differently in the future, or maybe even who you could share with. This. I think that's it. That's it. I'm just going to run on. Those of you who know you're not always comfortable, why not? Why aren't you comfortable saying no?
I don't want to come off as like mean.
You don't want to come off as mean.
There's
What?
actually good people in the world. Not everyone's trying to hurt you.
You want to trust people.
People.
Sorry?
Yes.
You're a people pleaser. Why else? Why else don't you want to say no?
So maybe you do need the help.
Maybe you do need the help, exactly. You do need the help. Why else?
It might just be easier rather than facing conflict.
Oh my God, it's easier rather than facing confrontation. Yeah, how many of you are concerned about making the situation worse by saying no?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. So we're actually saying, no, you actually want it. If it's going to get worse, you want it to get worse immediately. Like, you want to know that up front. How many of you have had the experience where someone was really nice up until the point that you said no? And then it was like,
Yeah.
you're like, whoa, whoa.
Back up.
Yeah. So we're saying turn the interview around. Actually find something to say no to as soon as possible so that you can get whether or not they're gonna listen to your no. They're gonna respect your boundaries. So actually say no. So someone offers to buy you a drink, you say no thank you. Someone offers to help you with your groceries, you say no thank you. Just find something to say no to. Now I'll give you a real situation, okay? So my daughter's 25 now, but she came home when she was about 19 years old. And she said, Mom, I met this guy in a retail store. Mom, he asked me out. Mom, he's a 10. And I'm like, oh God, save us from the 10s of the world, please. Save us from the 10s of the world. And I'm like, okay, well, she's done this workshop a couple times. I said, so you got to find something to say no to. She said, no problem. So she goes out on this date with him, and the first thing they do, they stop in some park, and they're on a park bench, and he makes a little move on her, something little, something innocent, and she says no. And she said, Mom, how he was with my no, I knew that this was going to be a one date. I just knew. I didn't like it. I didn't like how he responded. So they went to dinner, and there was a unisex bathroom, and she went down to use the bathroom, and he followed her down and came on to her like really strongly in the bathroom, at which point she was like, I'm done. I'm going home. Goodbye. But it happened in a public place. It was something that she was on the lookout for at that point, and she wasn't going to let herself be in a situation where she could be dominated and she didn't have an exit plan. So, and he wasn't even a bad guy, right? Like this, she wasn't going to be sexually assaulted. She just wasn't going to get listened to. And for her, she was like, that's all I need to know. So I'm talking about using it like that. Now, if it's a total stranger, say no. Just say no. And see what they do. You can always change your mind. Like if you really need help, you can go, oh, you know, I changed my mind after they pass the test. Yeah. Just call them back. Oh, just kidding. Whoops. Or they're like really cute. Like say they are a 10, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta say no, they're a 10. And oh my God, no. And then they go, okay, no problem. Because what do you do when someone says no to you? How many of you offer to help people? Right? And when they say no, what do you do?
Step back off.
Yeah, you go, okay, great. Or you might say, are you sure? Are you sure? You check in with them. But then if they say no twice, then, you know, that should be sufficient. It should be sufficient. I mean, it might not. You know, I know I have a really good friend, actually, a good friend of ours, who's like, no, I just keep persisting. Well, you might rethink that. I don't know. And really, there's no judgment, right? Like, if you're into that, no judgment. You know, you just want to be responsible for it. So, now, there's this other thing about no, right? Because she doesn't say no a whole bunch of times. Or she does, but she doesn't say the word no a bunch of times. So what does she say? I'm good.
Yeah.
I got it. What do you say? So when you're not comfortable saying no, and maybe the situation is you're like, okay, I really have a radar, like my spidey sense says that if I go direct with this person, it's going to get dangerous fast. So I'm not going to say no directly. But what do you say when you don't say no directly?
Don't worry
Maybe
about
another.
it.
Don't worry about it, maybe another time.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Not now.
Sorry?
Not now.
Not now. Not now. Maybe later. Some of you lie. Whoops, I got someplace else I need to be. Right? Like you lie. You pretend. Now, when you're doing that, do you know that you're saying no? Right? You say, oh, maybe later, and inside your head you're going like, when hell freezes over, no. No, right? You do. Now, here's the kicker. So do they. So we think we're being so slick, but they know it too. So, given that they know it, and you know it, and you know that they know it, and they know that you know that they know it, you might as well say no. And really, like that's a situational thing, like you're the person there and you know what to say. But if you say, I got it, or maybe not, or I'll think about it, keep saying that. Does that make sense? Like that's your no, and you just keep saying that. Now, how many of you think that you have to say no, like in a particular strong, like if she'd been stronger, more assertive, that never would have happened?
Yeah, not
I think so.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if only.
Sometimes I think if you're like more aggressive, then they're like, oh, they're not as easy of a target.
Exactly, and that could totally be that way. Now, I just want to demonstrate something, okay? I'm going to use you, sir. I don't know why. You just stand up for me. Stand up. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex. Okay, stay right there, Alex. Okay, Alex. Did you see? I just said no. I'm so good at no. I'm so good. Like I stop people on the street like this. By the way, that approach. I'm just like, no, right there is good, and they. I'm saying freeze, and then when they stop, I approach them. Because they heard my no, and I can change my mind. Yeah, but I'm like, no, nobody gets to be in my space unless I say it's okay. Like if I see it come, for sure. Okay, Alex, you're gonna get this water from me, just from right there. You're just gonna ask me for this water.
Can I have your water?
No.
Okay. Please.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Maybe next time.
Sounds good.
Can you tell he's never getting his water?
Yeah.
Am I being aggressive?
No.
Am I being assertive? Am I even being loud? Yeah, no is no. And you don't have to say it in any particular way for it to be gotten. So you can release yourself and other people of that burden. And for sure, if I said, no, no! That would leave him with a whole other impression of me. Are you all awake now? Thanks, Alex. That's the martial artist in me. I trained that. I trained the ki, yeah. So that's it. That's all. Anything about the no. So that's your tool now. You put that in your toolkit. You want to check it out in reality. Is this person willing to respect your boundaries? You find something to say no to early on. And I say, like, they're at any point, like, say you're like, they're just super cute, right? They're just, or they're you know, like an employer, a potential employer. Like, can you imagine auditioning for somebody and they're like, they're going to make a request of you and you're like not sure about that? You got to say no. You got to say no. You got to be willing to like, you got to say no. You got to do what works for you, right? Like, if you're willing to do that for the job, whatever that request is, then you got to own that. You got to be responsible for that. But I invite you to say no. And I invite you to actually prepare for that ahead of time. Like, mentally prepare for that. Like, know what your own boundaries are and know how far you're willing to go to get what you want. Not like a problem, really not a problem. Because sometimes it is easier to say yes than no. I know from experience. Dates. You go out on dates. Do you ever have that thing where who's going to pay at the end of the night? If they pay, then does that mean I have to sleep with them? No. Do you still do that? No. I'm old.
Well, maybe that's extreme, but it kind of is a sign that maybe they're expecting that it's romantic.
Okay, so like whatever that expectation is, I invite you to get out ahead of that in communication. I just invite you to get out ahead of it.
Like some
That's all.
affection.
You know what I mean?
Is
You know
this
what
a
I mean?
mutual thing?
Totally. What a great date that would be, right? Like, she has to be authentic and straight right up front about it. Other than that kind of tentative, weird. Okay. So what else about the interaction tells you that it's probably not gonna go well, or he's not a good guy, or
So like, where did he come from?
where did he come from? Goodness.
It's like,
No idea. No idea. But did you see that the door was open?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she had that moment, right? She had that moment. What do we call that moment? Yeah, instinct, gut, your intuition. How many of you have instinct, gut, intuition? Okay, great. Now, how many of you have had a feeling that something bad was going to happen, and then nothing bad happened? Yeah, huh? And then how many of you have not had a feeling that something bad was going to happen, and then something bad happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, so by itself, your intuition for you is insufficient. You will talk yourself out of it, especially if they're really cute and they're into you, or if they have something you want. You'll talk yourself out of it. Or if you don't want to look bad, you'll talk yourself out of that intuition. So if you have that intuition, what should be your next action? Well, you could, for sure. This would be listening to it. So you have the intuition. What would be your next action?
To get out of the situation.
No.
Say no.
Yes!
Oh.
You want to check it out here in reality with the person. I just have this intuition, I'm going to say no. Even if your no is, I'm going to remove myself from this spot, I'm going to go stand over here. That's no. Can you get that? Yeah. So we want to keep exercising that muscle of checking it out in reality with no. And at each stage of a relationship, it goes from platonic goes from you don't know them to now you know them, to then it goes to intimate. At any point, you check it out with no. Find something to say no to. That's the whole date rape kind of scenario, right? Like you, okay, now we're going from the living room to the bedroom. I'm gonna find something to say no to. See if I'm gonna get listened to. Like that. So what else about that?
His body language, he was like very much in her personal space, and when she tried to back away, he would basically just keep the distance right there, so it was intimidation.
Okay, awesome.
He's like boxing her.
I'm gonna have you demonstrate something with you. What's your name?
Jared.
Jared, come over here, Jared. I'm gonna do this so quick, it's interesting. So you're gonna stand over there, and we're gonna face each other.
Yeah.
Now this is, you know, the planes, the horizontal plane, the sagittal plane, the vertical plane. So this is a sagittal plane. This kind of relationship is confrontational, right? It's like the high noon position. In martial arts, we train coming straight up the center. It's also like teacher-student, employer, like there's this, or it can be totally open-hearted. It's got this kind of vulnerableness to it, right? So I'm gonna walk up to you, and when I get close enough for comfort, I'm not a bad person. Okay, good, you can stop me. But just where you would normally stop someone. This is good, right? Right here. Now, when you look at us, can you see that this is comfortable for you? You don't think, oh, something bad's gonna happen or anything about this, right? Now, I can grab him so easily. So the first thing that you wanna get is that you are completely comfortable with a total stranger face to face within grabbing distance. You are. All of you would have stopped me right about here. Okay, great. Now face that way. Now same thing, you're gonna stop me when I'm close enough.
About that.
Yeah, good, because I couldn't get any close like this. Now, this is the plane, the vertical plane, this is we. Can you see, don't we look like we're on the same side? Yeah. Like, this is you with your buds. This is like, you know what, do you have siblings?
Yes.
Yeah, like the back seat of the car, right? Right? And the two, you're like,
It's like
and your parents are in the front and the back, yeah, but they're like, we're on the same side. Girls walk down the street, teenage girls, in a line exactly like that. They don't get a little ahead, a little behind. Girls, you know what I'm talking about? Exactly the same. We're the same. We're the same. Nobody's ahead, nobody's behind. We're the same. Now, turn and face me. Whoa. Right? So, now, keep facing that way. Now, if I stand like this,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but this is not so bad. Yeah, but here, now this is ideal for the perpetrator, and it's the position that he's in the video, exactly, because he has access to the back of your body and you'll never know. And he can get close enough. Yeah, now the language that he uses, and this is really subtle, he says I and you, and then he switches to we.
Makes it personal.
It's like we've got a hungry cat up there. We don't want to be late. I'm like, you've known each other for a minute and a half, now, right? I know, but like that kind of subtle, like if you're on the listening for it, if you're listening out for it, you're like, wait a second, that's creepy. That's creepy. Yeah, great. Thank you, Jared. That was awesome. Okay, when we're gonna have you all do that. So when we stand up, I'm gonna have you do exactly that exercise where you get to feel how powerful that space is when somebody comes right up the center like that. And it's useful for you too. Like if you wanna back somebody up and you come right up in front, but it is confrontational. So you have to manage that and be responsible for that. The experience is very like, get out of my face. So what else about that interaction? Yes?
He made a lot of excuses,
Mhm.
like that his watch was broken and that, I don't know, something else, he was like late for work.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, when he was taking care of like a friend something.
Exactly. I know, he's like talking the
Yeah.
whole time, right? Like
Yeah.
talk. You notice that?
Yeah.
He never stopped talking. Now that by itself, in and of itself, is a scam on the street in New York, where someone will approach you and they have a story and they'll start talking, and then I know this because this has happened to me, and before I knew it I was handing them $20 and the guy walked away and I went, what just happened? And it's like a magic trick. It's like all done, I was like trying to follow his story and I was like, oh, this poor guy. And
Yeah.
so, but it's all done to keep her from doing what?
Saying no.
Yeah, saying no or asking like the question that you all are asked, like, how'd you get in the building?
Right.
Where'd you come from? Like, she's not at all in control of that conversation.
And she didn't recognize him either.
She did not recognize him. Yeah, no, for sure he was a stranger. Yeah. Now, yes.
So I had a question about that. Now, what if I'm the kind of guy that times will go on the street and ask a girl out, just if I see her on the street, you know?
Okay.
And now that you mention, I got kind of freaked out. So like, whoa. I really don't give her time to say no, you know, because I'm very good with my
You're like my friend who was like, but I just keep persisting when they say, I just keep persisting.
You know,
I know
it's
you
true. If,
Yeah.
I noticed if they do say no, you know, and I was laughing at when you said, you know, they could just change their mind, because I was like, wow, did this girl take a class with you? You know, I asked her, I was like, yo, would you want to go? It was like Frontier City, sorry, I don't want to get it. It's like Six Flags, basically.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, no, not really, I'm busy today. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. She's like, wait, no, yeah, we can do it. I was like, okay.
I taught this to thousands of people.
It was
Very
just like,
high.
oh my goodness. I'm saying, how? Wait, because now I feel like I'm condemning myself, because I'm like, you know, I'm not the greatest person, but I never make ill intentions in that kind
I got
of
it,
thing.
but here's what you want to just really, like, I want to offer you, is that when she said no, you did what?
I said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's because you're a good guy. So there's nothing wrong. That is what good people do. Yeah, and so you could look to see, like, at what point do you stop listening?
Okay.
You could that would be for yourself to look. Yeah, but no, you're good.
Thank you.
Yeah, got the safe and sound seal of approval there.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, he kind of made her like feel bad about herself. And
Yes!
Like, oh, there's a thing as being.
Yes, such a thing as being too proud.
I know.
Yes. Yeah, he's such a bad person for having done that. He's awful. Okay, now, here's the thing you want to get. There's nothing in this conversation that you have not done. This is such a regular conversation between people that actually turned out bad, but this is so, you do this. So I'm going to assert that we all have like a trigger or a button where someone says something about you and you're like, kind of like, oh, that's not me. Like, oh, no, that's not me. And that it's like a slight put down that then you have to kind of do what? You have to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she has to fix it, right?
Yeah.
So there's such a thing as being too proud, you know, then has her have to be what? Not proud, yeah, allow him to help her, exactly. So then she's got to like prove otherwise. So right now, look in your life, what's the thing that when someone says it to you, you have that kind of response? For me, it's such a thing as being too, I mean, nobody says it exactly like that, but like too strong, too masculine, too butch, like that. And there was a time when that got said to me that I would immediately be like, oh, I'm not. Like I would be cute, like, no. But now I'm like, yeah, and I'll mess you up. I just completely own it. Yeah, because when I own it, then why is that useful?
It empowers you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Nobody can use it against me if I own it.
Yeah.
So let me hear, some of yours, or it might be like someone, like your best friend, like you know theirs, and you use it on them. Yes.
People tell me I'm high maintenance.
High maintenance,
So
yeah.
Usually I'm like, no, I'm a strong, independent woman.
Okay. High maintenance, and I raise you, strong and independent. Such a thing as being too serious.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I hate that. I hate that.
Lighten up.
And then, such a thing as being too paranoid. Yeah, come on.
OCD.
You're so paranoid.
Max.
OCD to the max. Come on. Lighten up. Loosen up. Have a little fun. Let your hair down.
I'm too easy going,
Too easy going.
real laid back. It's like I planned this trip last night. And now I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like really bad.
Yeah.
For
So-
everything, we had time. We had. I don't know why.
Okay, so then
And I
that's the
raised it
thing,
to
when
that.
someone uses it against you, when
Yeah.
someone's like, there's such a thing as being too easygoing, like, come on, girl.
It's bad.
Yeah. So just turn to your partner, to take like 30 seconds each, and tell them what you think yours is, and how you might, if someone used it against you, how you might own it, or how you already do own it. Okay, ready? Person with the curliest hair goes first. 30 seconds.
Yeah, sorry. And then
Technology partner. Okay, what else? What else about that interaction? Seems like it was weeks ago that we watched that video. Yes.
I'm pretty sure he started grabbing the groceries before she even had
Yeah,
a
he
chance to
did.
answer.
Yeah, he did.
Well, it also fell down, so he was like,
Oh,
her.
right.
He also like ran up the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do some movement work, and we're gonna like explore that whole timing thing, but yeah, his timing is very different than hers. for sure.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say he's running up behind her, but then he almost passes her, so he's like leading her up the stairs
Mhm.
at one point.
Yep.
So he can enter the door first, and he did enter the door first, I'm pretty sure. Or he
She
like,
opened it,
he,
then he
he opened it, and he
inside.
like went in, even though he
Mhm.
said he promised to like stay outside of the door.
Yeah, now here's the thing about that promise. So does she say to him, oh, you'll just put the bags down and go, you promise?
No.
No, he offers it unsolicited. So when do you, because you do this, because remember, there's nothing that he says that you haven't said. So this is a regular conversation. When do you offer an unsolicited promise?
When you really think someone needs help.
You really think they need help?
I don't know.
When do you go, I promise I won't be late next, I promise.
Like if my mom is gonna tell me no, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I promise I won't ruin the house or something.
Yeah. Yeah, when you want something, when you want to convince somebody, yeah. When,
I was gonna say again, I hate to bring it back to this, but like, I'm asking a girl out. I promise, I just wanna teach her.
You are gonna rethink your whole strategy.
I'm like, what am I gonna do now?
You're in the 101 ways to meet the person of your dreams. That's why you're going
You gotta have options, so, you know, but now I'm kind of terrified, 'cause I'm like, what am I gonna do now?
No, this is it. This is what's so insidious about this conversation, because it is such a normal conversation. It is how we interact with each other. So you can't be like, there's anything wrong with anything that gets said there. There's nothing wrong with this, except that, you know, she gets assaulted. So that doesn't work for sure. But the whole interaction, you will recognize it from your life, and you're just doing a really great job seeing how this is at work in your life. Okay, so what else about the interaction? I got the movement stuff is great, what you're noticing, but what about what actually gets said? Let me ask you, okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna point out, he also kind of knew what floor she was already on.
Well, you asked her.
But he like answered as she answered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Like,
all
yeah,
in that
yeah.
information gathering kind of chatter thing, that all comes under that. Where does she think she's safest?
In her apartment.
Yeah, where is she actually safest?
Outside.
In the hallway, yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
When we see it. And probably not. But you can always check it out in reality. That's, again, the no. Okay, I think that's it. We have these little cards that we're gonna hand out, but I don't have them right here. I'm just gonna, let me check my mind. If there's anything else. I think we're good. So we're gonna put put your notebooks to the side, take off your shoes and socks. And then find a partner who's about your size. Anybody discover anything in that or want to share anything about that experience? Yes.
We did, because we're little, and we said that like, if she mentioned that if it weren't me that's like small being next to her like this, like this is fine like for us, but if it was somebody who was taller, she would want to be like a lot farther away.
Yeah, the height will make a difference, yeah. You are, like, you can maybe tell what your reach is. Some of you probably your dancer, you can do that, right? That's not something everybody just automatically has. And as a martial artist, we train not only what is my distance, but what's yours. So I can look at him and pretty much see whether he can reach me or not. So But did you all get, like, you'll let somebody get close to you?
Yeah.
No problem. It's like super, it's pretty normal. So I want you to use that partner and actually stop them before they get within grabbing distance. And I want you to stop them. I just want you to put your hands up like this, or you can put your hands up like this. Just be like, just stop. Right there's good. Put your hands together. Right there's good. It's very this is very non-conflict. So this is a little confrontational. It's a little, it's not so. Your hands are up though, right? It's not this. But you know, you're saying right there is good, and then put your hands together like that. Okay? All right. So you're gonna stop with your hands together. So essentially, what are you saying? Saying no. You're saying no, yeah. And so that's, I invite you to practice this in your life, especially in a non-threatening situation. Like if somebody's walking, you can tell, they're just gonna come over and ask you for, you know, directions or money or something. Just practice it right there. And you will, like, people will stop, and then you'll get to just practice it at a time that, you know, is non-threatening. And then, you know, when they stop, then you can, you know, walk over to them and go, can I help you with directions? Yeah, okay, good. Do you know what it is to mill? You know this term, mill? So this means to walk about, it's a theater term. So we're gonna mill. And so everyone mill, and I'm gonna lead you through the next exercise. So we're gonna actually distinguish the realm of space. We say in martial arts, he or she who rules the space rules the fight. And in life, space dominates. So I want you to begin with just noticing what's your internal space. So that's your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations. And I want you to pay attention to those yourself and not anything else. So to the exclusion of each other and the room, and obviously you don't bump into each other though, so you have to pay at least that much attention. But just keep, what are your thoughts? And then notice whether or not your pace changed, or whether there's a particular posture. And then notice if it's at all familiar, like your texting and walking position. If you do that, I might be the only one. Or if you're listening to music. We'll call that your inner space. And now bring your attention, leave that alone, and bring your attention into the room. And notice the room, like all the details in the room, as much as you can. Notice as much as you can. And notice whether or not your posture changed, it may or may not have. Whether or not your pace changed. I call this tourist mode. So if you've ever been stopped as a tourist, and you go, how'd they know I was a tourist? This is how they do. You walk around like this. Okay, stop. Pick a point directly on the other side of the room and go directly to that point. Go. Pick a new point. Go. Excellent. New point. Go. I call this the New Yorker. Right? You all recognize it? Did you hear the room change? Yeah. That's all how we pay attention to space. So which is the best self-defense walk? A, B, or C? C, right? Doesn't it feel like C is absolutely the best choice? Yes. Yeah. Can I borrow you, Sean?
Sure.
Come here. Busted. Come down just a little bit. Okay, New Yorker, pick a spot, go directly, go. Oh, so maybe not.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I know you're trained.
I didn't know what was on. Where are you?
Just let me go. No. Trained martial artist. What was I thinking? So maybe not.
I can do that again, like a normal person.
No. Did you get the message?
Yes.
Did you see how easy it was to attack him from
Yes.
behind?
Yes.
Super easy. So that single focus, actually, while it does have a certain assertiveness to it and a drive and you look like you know where you're going, you're doing so and leaving out all of this. So what about the tourist, right? That's the obvious next choice. Okay, well, we'll see. So go be a tourist. So also, maybe not. There's no way it's this one, right? So what? So what's the best self-defense walk? Paranoid is not the answer. Go through life being paranoid.
Be aware of the people around you.
And
the room and walking.
Searching space. Be aware
being aware of the people around you and
of space.
combine them all. So you know where you're going and you're noticing as much as you can along the way. Just combine, and then also, know yourself. That's kind of implied, right? So you're gonna pick a point, go directly to that point, and notice as much as you can along the way. Ready? Go. Now, when I say notice as much as you can along the way, I don't mean be subtle about it. So some of you are like rolling your eye like this. I mean, really, really look at the space.
Okay.
Okay, go. Now, I don't know if you can feel the kind of vibe in the room, but there's a certain, like a power in the room. And you look like you're paying attention. Now, the game is not to get picked in the first place, right? Not to get selected. We say, if you don't want to get hurt, be alert. But what the heck is that? How do you look alert? This is how you look alert. You know where you're going, and you notice as much as you can along the way. Now, we have a couple things about turning around backwards. Did you notice that? It's kind of awkward and not familiar and weird, and yeah. So, and some people get concerned that they're going to look paranoid. Oh well. So, from the outside, before I put my key in my door, I always stop and look around. And then anybody watching me if there's anybody watching me, what do they know about me? That I'm aware. And potentially, I have some kind of training. So you just don't want to be selected in the first place. You want to fail that interview, the interview to be a victim. So for those of you who are uncomfortable turning around, and I do this in my regular life, I turn around all the time, I had to practice it, it was weird at first. I go like this. Oh yeah. I'm gonna make up a story. Somebody from this workshop taught me this one. Shoo! Which is also like germ warfare, like go. Attack me, you'll get sick. Which I like. Yeah, and I really do practice it all the time. So I know that I can do that. Sometimes it's really hard. Like I'm scared. It's at night, I'm in my neighbor, I'm scared. And I go, just turn around, you gotta do it, because it's so powerful. You felt how powerful it was. Right?
Yeah.
Anybody who attacks you from behind is a coward. They're a coward. So if you have the ovum to turn around and look at them, okay? Okay, great. So pick a point, go directly to the point, and make sure you turn all the way around. So powerful. Really great, I'm not kidding. Okay, great. So anything about that? We're gonna move on. Okay, great. Mill. So as you're walking around, I want you to just notice what is for you natural eye contact. Now, it's one of those things that as soon as I say notice your natural eye contact, it stops being natural. But you'll kind of notice, like there's a preference that you have, you kind of seek it out or you avoid it, or sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Just notice what for you is pretty natural. Okay, now keep milling. And now I want you to make eye contact with as many people as you can. Keep walking, hold the eye contact for as long as you can, but keep walking, don't bump into anybody. Notice the laughter in the room. Just notice it. Notice the aliveness in the room. Okay, great. Keep going. Let that go. Let that go. Keep going. Now you wanna check people out, but don't get caught.
I'm sorry.
This is how y'all are on the subway.
So true.
Okay, now put it all together. Do not make any eye contact. So lower your gaze, away. Notice how quiet it got. Okay, stop. Great. So, how many of you were like, yes, eye contact, love that, seek it out, make it, awesome. Yeah, great. You're the people that always get asked for money, always get asked for directions. Did you notice how quickly related you were when you made eye contact with somebody?
Yeah.
And did you notice that when you held it for just a few seconds, that you had to either look away, start laughing, or say something? A couple of seconds. A couple of seconds of eye contact with another human being, and you are now in relationship. That's how powerful it is. That was all that laughter, all that bubbled up, all that aliveness. So those of you who are those who seek out eye contact, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. And it is something you want to be responsible for. And you want to be able to not do that if you need to not do that. Or do that in a way that you can use it like I see you, and I look away. I see you, and I look away. Because it is very powerful to look someone in the eye. Now, how many of you are like not so comfortable with making eye contact? And you know that, you don't seek it out, it's not. There were more than that, because I noticed there were people that wouldn't make eye contact with me. Yeah, great, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong at all. In fact, it can be quite protective. So, not a problem. And I really invite you to develop that, like practice making eye contact, because it is very powerful. All you have to do is look at somebody. All you have to do, really, if you're really willing to look at somebody, that's all, it's very powerful. So, and you're performers. So that's useful for you. Yeah, great, okay. So which is the best self-defense, do you think? What? Maybe we should raise your hand. Sure, go ahead. Well, who, someone over here that spoke. Oh, you, sorry.
I thought first hour walking.
So that for you is
For
the,
me personally, it'd be power walking. Like walking with purpose.
walking with purpose, yeah, in terms of eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make eye contact and then look away when you're ready to look away. There's a little bit, there's like kind of a theory out there that if you look away first, you're submissive. I don't believe it. If you look away because you look away, then you get to say. Okay, so you're just gonna make eye contact and look away when you're ready to look away. Okay, ready, go. And if you're uncomfortable with eye contact, really use it. Really use this opportunity to practice. It's very safe in here. There's like a quiet confidence. The mood in the room is quiet confidence. Really great. Okay, good job. So anybody want to share anything about that before we move to the next? Anything anyone wants to say about that?
For some reason, when I look
Yeah.
at the line, I want to smile.
Yes, yeah, it's automatic.
Yeah.
It's automatic. Not a problem.
Or look pleasant.
Is that
like inviting?
Yes.
Is that bad?
No. No, it just is what it is. Yeah, no, it's just that it's something to be responsible for, because it is very inviting. You really are, it is an invitation, it's an opening. So nothing wrong, and something that you want to be able to manage, if you need to, yeah.
I also noticed that like everything that you asked us to be aware of, like when I'm in New Jersey, in my hometown, like a small town, I act in a completely different way. And I have since I was little than when I came into the city.
Yeah.
And that even though maybe that's not the way I normally am, that's the way that I am here, and it's like appropriate and it's safe and good.
Yes, it's so great. It's so great. What you're speaking to is the context. And when there's a context shift, that the context rules. So how you are in your hometown versus how you are in a new city can be completely different. And you could say that where you're more vulnerable is in your hometown.
Yeah, definitely, which
Yeah.
you made me aware of.
Yeah, potentially, right? Because you're so
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, no problem. Yeah,
You know, like that feeling when you're a kid and you like, Christmas Day or birthday, you open your present.
yeah.
I've
I
always,
still have that.
Right, so I always loved the eye. That's eyes and hands are like my favorite thing.
Uh-huh.
So when you're looking at someone's eyes, it's like, I was laughing like the entire time because you get this like tingly feeling inside. You're like, dang, I experienced it.
I know. I know. It's super intimate. Eye contact is super intimate. That's why in 3 seconds and you're like, oh my God, I can't take it. It's like intense.
Right.
Because it's like there's nothing between you. Well, potentially nothing between you. There's whatever what you're saying in your head, but there's, okay, great, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next. So we're gonna leave the realm of space we're gonna enter the realm of time. So mill. And we're gonna begin by just say that he or she rules the time, rules the body. Time is very body. And if you just pay attention to your own sense of time, it might be a conversation that you have about yourself, like, I'm a slow person, or I'm a quick person, or I'm peppy. Or it could be that, you got a lot of sleep last night, you woke up, you feel great, got lots of energy, or maybe you didn't, you're dragging through it. Could also be like you have something that you're looking forward to this evening in anticipation, and that has time right now occur like slow. Or if there's something you're dreading, the time speeds up. You're all late, let's go. You're late, I'm not kidding, move it! You are late! You're gonna get thrown out of this program, are you kidding? Move it, I'm not late! You're late! Go, go, go! You are late! Some of you don't believe me, I'm not kidding! Go! 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 Okay, wait, no, I really wanted to see. Keep going, keep moving. When you actually have all the time in the world. Like really, you have all the time in the world. Like if you never get there, no problem. But it's not like slow motion. It's like you're actually savoring every step. Like it's your last step. It's just like so good. Savoring it. Like if this is a race, last one there wins. Two completely opposite ends. Quick time and sustainment. So if you look at the video, he was quick. She was slow. Okay, so from here over, so we're doing two groups. That's about equal, two groups. Okay, everyone here, you're in the worst possible rush. You're going to say hello to as many people as possible. It might sound something like this. Hi, 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 like that. You all have all the time in the world. You're also going to say hello to as many people as you can. It might sound more like this. Hello! Hi! Like that. Ready? And go!
expressive pay. I don't know, it just makes you feel like just so chill, you just like engaging everybody.
So, okay, so for you, like doing that sustain, we just had you feel chill and want to be with people, it's so awesome. Okay, great. Who else? Did you notice? Yes.
I think that when we changed, in my opinion, when I changed pace, it gave me an awareness as to what direction the other person is in.
Mhm.
So it gave me a sense of disconnect or connection depending on their speed.
Yeah, totally. And can you say more about that? Your disconnect or connection depending upon their speed. Like, when did you feel connected?
When I was slowing down,
And they were
and they were slowing down as well.
also, exactly.
Right, when
Did you
somebody
notice
was on my
that?
path.
Yeah.
When you got with someone else who was slow, there was this experience of, oh yeah, we get each other. Like that, right?
Yeah.
The same if you were both quick. It's like, hi. It's like, yeah, we're busy people.
Yeah.
We're busy. Now, what was the experience? It was great, thank you. Then what was the experience when you were fast saying hello to sustainment or the
When I was
opposite?
going fast saying hi to other people, I wanted to say more than just hi. I'd be like, hi, how are you? Oh my God, you're good. Hey, like I wanted to say everything to everyone and found myself getting like flustered.
I leaves you like it's good to know, like, right, like everybody has access to the full spectrum, but you have a preference, and some people prefer that kind of quick, that for them is, it's comfortable, it's a preference. And then for others, it's that sustain that they want to be there, they want to hang out there. Those of you who are, love that sustainment might find yourself slightly behind the count in music, or you love the adagio, and you just like, and then there's the petit allegro people that are awesome.
Yeah, I found that, like, when you switch to the fast highs,
Mhm.
I just wanted to stay there, which you
Yeah.
like, oh, just kidding, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to just stay. What's up? How you
Yeah.
doing? Chilling. Good.
Yeah. Now, what did you notice when you were hi, and, or if you were particularly, I think, when you're sustained and you go hi to someone and they go hi, and they keep going? What was your experience then?
Kind of offended.
Offended, and they just diss me. Yeah.
Kind of dismissed their.
Yeah, it's like inherently, we use time to agree and disagree. And we dominate with time. Did you want to add to that?
No, I was gonna say I found myself when like we were going slower. I was doing like a lot of contact and like, hey, like, how are you doing? Sorry. Or like if I'm fast, I'm kind of like trying to avoid everyone. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, like just like bullet and like don't touch me, leave me alone. Like.
Yeah. It's all great to notice how you are in relationship to time and what kind of it brings up for you. And in this context, we use time to dominate and avoid domination. So, we notice that his time in the video was quick. So he's trying to hurry her along. Why?
Because he knows what he wants to do. He hasn't any goal, so he wants to fluster her so that she has a chance to say no.
For sure. And why else is he in such a rush?
He doesn't want anyone to see him.
Yeah, because where is he safest? In
Yeah.
the apartment. So there's a kind of a fundamental law, rule about self-defense where you do not go to a second location. So you gotta do your no up front. And if it's gonna go down, you want it to go down in that first place, that first point of contact. Because when they take you to a second location, it's always better for them, the location. So you wanna, if you're gonna fight, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna be confronting, you want it to happen in where it's best for you. And she's safest in the stairwell. Now, that's how quick time, so come on, let's go. You all do this, right? You can see in your life how you use time to dominate, yeah? You've been dominating your parents since you were this with time, right? Yeah. Come on, let's go. And that's how you use the sustainment to dominate. Don't go. Stay. Come on, stay. So again, it's like one of those things that's in the background that you don't know, why does this feel so awkward? And it could just be or why is this so like, pressure? And it could just be the time that it's taking place in. And so if you have a concern or you want to check it out, or you're like, why? I've already said I have to go 3 times. How come you want me to stay? What then do you do to check it out in reality? Yes! Find something to say no to. Yeah, always check it out in reality. Yeah. Great. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so we're gonna move, this is really well done, everyone. This is really great. We're gonna move to the kind of traditional self-defense portion. So if there's any questions up to now, ask them, otherwise we're gonna move on. Okay, great. Okay, so we're gonna move to there's no question that they mean you some kind of harm. I'm taking my jewelry off. I should have done that earlier. Looks scary, right? I'm gonna get into my fighting clothes. Okay, would you mind grabbing me, Sean?
Sure. Take off my.
I always choose the biggest person I can find because it's the, that's the scariest, right? No, you don't. You don't actually. So Sean's gonna grab me by the wrist. Just grab me by the wrist, and I'm gonna pull away. And you're gonna resist, obviously. So he's a pretty big guy. You might want to use 2 hands because I might.
Oh, I got socks.
Oh, take your socks off. This is why I have you take your socks off, by the way. So you're not, so you're more grounded. Now, okay, good. So clearly he doesn't mean me well, right? He's grabbing me and he's much stronger than I am. It's clear, right?
Yes.
Now, something to notice, keep grabbing me. The more I go this way, the more you do what? The more you do.
Yeah.
You pull the other way. So as I resist, he gets, exactly. Now, if I move toward him, there's a loosening of the grip. So it's just something you're gonna notice. We're gonna have you partner up and you're gonna do that. It's the first thing you're gonna do. So they're gonna grab you, you're gonna pull away, you're gonna feel how that just makes it worse. It's like the Chinese finger thing. And then when you move toward them, then there's a loosening of the grip. Just for a second, but it'll be there. Okay, great, so keep grabbing me. But that won't be enough. So you're gonna reach in and grab your own hand and then pull back. I want you to really grab me so that you don't have to loosen them. It's like a magic trick, isn't it? So, he is stronger than me, but I am stronger than his thumbs. And so are you. There are no thumbs in the world that you are not stronger than. So, if I pull out against the thumb, then he can't resist. And even if he were like,
I even tried pushing out
I
the
can't
last way and kind
imagine.
of did this.
Yeah. So yeah, even if you like, you can add this to it to add a little pull back, which gives you a little bit more force. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to get with your partner, and they're going to grab you, and you're going to practice that. Thanks, John. It's like magic, right?
Yeah.
Can I borrow you again?
Jesus Christ.
So you have to just always ask yourself, where's the thumb? So if he grabs me with the same hand, it's pretty easy to go like this. Even if he grabs with this hand, obviously if I went like this and pulled, that wouldn't work. If I went this way and pulled, that wouldn't work either. So in a cross hand grab, you gotta go over the top so that you're still pulling against the thumb. Okay, so do a cross hand grab just so you have that experience as well. So from here, we're gonna turn this way back. From here, go in this way. No? Okay, good. So you have that magic trick. And you get that's saying no, right? Yeah. Someone grabs your hand, you go, no. No. So one more thing. So say they grab you and they're on some kind of drugs, they're crazy, they're like locked onto you. Actually, a friend of mine's daughter had this experience in an assisted living facility with a man with dementia who grabbed her and would not let go. And she hadn't done my class, or she should have gotten out, but. So if someone's, and you're like, you just can't, like it's not working, you're like, oh my God, it's not working, it's not working. All of our attention is right here. His too. So if you're trying to get out, he's going to be concerned about that. That's when you just want to just kick him in the groin. Because their attention is here. Now, guys are very good at covering the groin. They're very good at that. So you might not get your first shot, but whatever that is might be enough to get you to get out. Yeah? Yeah. And if you miss the groin and hit the shin or the knee, it's not a problem. Now I'll be like, whoops, did I do that again?
No, it's going to
okay, so then what, right? So I get away, right? Then I turn around to run this way, say that's where the exit, and then where is he? Right behind me. So that's probably what's next. So if you can, like you always want to know where your exits are. That's just a good practice. So you want to be running this way so that he has to, so I go here, then he's got to turn around to follow me. But I got to give him something to deal with just while I get past him. So what we're going to do is you're going to pull back and then you're going to strike. Now, everybody go to your knee and just hit the floor as hard as you can with the top of your fist. As hard as you can, as hard as you can. Ow! So I don't recommend it. I don't recommend that you punch like they do in the movies unless you're a knockdown fighter. I am.
Let's go.
I can tell you the 6-time women's world knockdown champion.
Yeah!
So that's not a good idea. Now do this. Feel how you can get behind that though, right? Yeah. Hear how it's a little softer? Because there's muscle in it. So now try this. Yeah, so not flat like this, but rather this. So you're going right to the heel of your palm. You're working with the bread. Like that. So that's my recommendation, but this is also good and heck. If this is what comes out, use whatever works, right? Like don't make yourself wrong. Again, you probably won't get a do-over.
Right.
So
Wait,
exactly. Hold on. So pull back, and then you're just going to go straight up like that. Now, what's great about it is that I'm here, I hit the nose. What happens when you hit your nose?
You break it.
You break some blood, your eyes water. So, and then you also have your fingers right here.
Oh, no.
So you could go up and down.
And quickly with the nuts.
And but it's like right there. And then you can run past. So again, so they grab you, you pull back, you're gonna strike, pull down, and run.
Oh.
Don't forget, he'll probably
Okay.
just give up.
Probably, yeah. It's like, she's too much trouble. Excellent. Get with your partner. I practice that. Obviously, don't make fun. That's right. I'm not gonna get it. I don't know. I never. I don't know what happened today. I'm like, what about That's cool, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just check it out. So, because I don't know how many of you are gonna take on becoming martial artists and trained fighters, right? So, and the likelihood that this kind of thing is gonna happen is pretty small. And you want to know, you already know everything you need to know to totally survive. Okay. So, what are the weapons on your body? Like, what are your natural weapons? Feet. Hands, knees, elbows, head, heel, elbows, voice, yeah, your booty.
Yes. My guns.
Where are the vulnerable points on the body?
Solar plexus.
Solar plexus, hips, chest, throat.
Anywhere on your face.
Anywhere on your face, eyes, back, knees, top of the foot,
Head, shoulder,
groin, anything on the midline. In fact, in the midline, all the way down. So midline to groin, inside of the thighs, all the way down to the insides of the feet. You attack there. That is our weakest area. So what if you get grabbed from behind?
Elbow.
Right? Yeah, you would totally do that. So So he grabs me from behind. What's natural? Grab me again and grab me quickly. That's what's natural. Can you get that? Someone comes up from behind you like that, right? So grab me like that. Now the experience is I'm stuck. I'm caught. I'm trapped. I can't move. That's the experience. However, it's not the reality. Look. There's lots of movement. There's lots of that. But the experience is that you're trapped and stuck, right?
Yeah.
So the person you go, so I recommend the first thing you do is breathe out and drop your weight. Like that. Now, you might slip out, they might come down with you, but what I just did was I created a little bit of space between me and this person in particular, this area. Now, you can, even if all I could do is pinch the inside of his, like, it really doesn't take much to, I'm free, I could go elbow as someone recommended, I could go ahead, I could go if you're wearing high heels, even if you're not, onto the top of the pot, like whatever. And then that also, his hand, his fingers, I could pull the finger back. Like, there's no right thing to do. You just do what's right there for you to do. And you know what are the weak spots. Yes? Okay, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to be grabbed. So one more time, they're going to grab you, you're going to go like that, and then just drop your weight. And then create that space and just check it out. Just go, okay? How many of you babysit or have babysat?
Oh my Lord.
Okay, have you ever babysat a child who throws a tantrum?
Yes.
Have you ever tried to pick up a child who's throwing a tantrum? You can't. You can't. So that's what I recommend. You just throw an adult-sized tantrum, and they will let you go eventually. Okay? So get with your partner and get grabbed. Okay, so we did the kind of more, any questions about that? There were some questions about going to the throat. So this is how you protect your throat. You put your chin in like that. And then if somebody grabs you, this little spot right here, if they leave you that little spot in their elbow. But you gotta just, like, if it goes from here to your throat, you gotta just, you gotta fight. Or what? If you can get your arm up. Yeah. Okay, so I want to do a little, we have just a couple minutes. So I want to practice the, so Sean, if you walk towards me, we're going to bump. You're going to bump my shoulder, okay?
Like as in brushing by on the street?
Yeah, you're going to like give me a little bump. It's all good. Wait, I left something out. I left something important. Go ahead. So they